Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my version of 21 books that I want to read in 2021. But really this is books that I totally believe that I was going to read last year and I was super excited for, and then I did not get to them and I'm really disappointed in myself. And if I do not get to them this year, I will be extremely disappointed in myself. So hopefully I will read all of these books in 2021. Definitely pressure me if it's getting towards the end of the year and you have not seen this on my wrap up or TBR yet. It's not super promising because I've not read any of these books yet and it's already in February and my Goodreads goal for the year is 45 books, so almost half of these books are made up of this list, so hopefully I really get on it. This is basically books that came out last year and look so good for whatever reason. A lot of them I don't really know the plot. Some of them are just because they have pretty colors. And some of them are because I heard good things or they have a really interesting sounding plot, and some of them are a mix. So I'm just gonna jump in and get started. Most of these I do not own yet, so it's also not looking like a good prospective year for my bank account, but I'm just gonna pop a little picture up here. So the first book that I really want to read this year, these are in no particular order. I think it was just in the order that I kind of discovered them in. But it's going to be A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This book sounds so good. It's dark academia and magic. I believe I read a little article about her discussing how she read the Harry Potter books, which are my all-time favorites, and she commented, well, what would happen if magic wasn't free to use and magic kind of had a cost? And that's the concept that she really weaves into this book. And I know it takes place at a school, a magical school, and it sounds really good. I think I'm going to leave this one for more like the September, October, spooky season, because I think it really fits that vibe and I just kind of want to save it as a treat for them. So book number 2 is The Devil All the Time by Donald Ray Pollock. This book it just came out with a movie on Netflix and it has Robert Pattinson in it, and has a really thick southern accent. And that's the only reason that I want to read this book, is to read it so then I can watch the movie. I've heard the book is really good. I know Noelle Gallagher said on her channel she wished that she could have gone back and read the book before she watched the show. And so now that I have the chance to do that, I'm going to do that. But I'm having a hard time actually picking this up and actually fitting it into my TBR. So I really hope that I get that done this year, because I'm pretty sure the movie came out last year and I just really want to watch it already. The third book is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This book has such a pretty cover and people have said really great things about it. I know it's about a black woman who babysits a white child, and she's with this child in the grocery store late one night and someone thinks that she's kidnapped the child and things just kind of roll out of control from there. I remember when this first came out, I read the first chapter of it and I really liked the writing style. It sounded really good and I have never gotten around to reading it, which I'm so embarrassed about because I was so excited for it. And so I need to actually get it and read it this year. Next on my list is A Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is supposed to be really good, kind of dark, but I think it seems a little comedic or kind of cute in the irony of that it's a book club and then there's a vampire that moved in and the book club kind of realizes that this guy is a vampire and that they need to get rid of him. That's all I really know. I think that's the basic concept of this story. I might be wrong. It might be a very serious and dark book, but it just seems kind of like a cheerful, fun read to me in a dark sense. So I really want to read this. I might read it in the summertime with Georgia. I don't have no idea where it actually is. It has peaches on the cover, so I'm assuming Georgia. The next book I do actually have, but it is deep in my book stack, so I'm not gonna take it out. I'll just pop a picture up here, but you can see the beautiful spine. and it is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. This book is probably the prettiest book I've ever seen. The whole cover is like iridescent and beautiful, and I just love blues. It looks so good. I also really want to get into sci-fi more. I've really gotten into fantasy these past few months, but I have not dipped my foot back in science fiction yet, and I really want to do that, and I think this book is a perfect first step. It is kind of about a scientist who basically makes first contact with alien life. I believe she's like a biologist, and it's dangerous, it's scary, it's like society hangs in her hands with that whatever she does. It sounds really good. It's a really thick book, which I love thick books. I don't know why. A lot of people don't like something if it's really big and find it super intimidating, but I just want to pick it up and dive into it. It just seems like it's automatically going to be good to me if it's big. I know that's not true, especially with Stephen King's It. I know it's big for no reason, but for some reason my brain just tells me that a big book equals a good book. The next book on the list is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. All I know about this is that it's kind of like a girl's version of Lord of the Flies. I don't know how accurate that is, or if it just has Lord of the Flies vibes, but with girls. That's all I kind of know. I'm trying to keep it vague and jump into this. The next book I am so excited about, I also have, and I know for sure that I'm going to be reading this, I think in April. I kind of want like a special book that I've been super excited for my birthday week to read, and I think I'm going to reserve this one for that. And it's My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. And this book sounds really, really good. It's about a girl whose sister is a serial killer, and she kills all of her boyfriends she has, and she kind of helps her sister cover it up. But then the main character meets a guy that she really likes, and he asks her if she can introduce him to her sister. And so then it's kind of like a conflict. So it sounds really good. It's really short. I think I could get through it really quickly, and I've heard great things about it. And the cover is so pretty. It just looks amazing, and I'm super, super excited for it. The next book is Dune by Frank Herbert. This is supposed to be like a huge classic. I know it was written a super long time ago, and there's a new movie coming out about it. And it has a lot of books in the series. I know it's supposed to be awesome. I think it's kind of sci-fi more than fantasy, but I really want to read this. And there's this copy in Barnes & Noble that is so, so pretty. Maybe I'll insert a little clip of me in Barnes & Noble the other day just being in awe over it. It has these beautiful turquoise sprayed edges that are the prettiest color, and I'm so conflicted because I could buy the paperback for $10. This one costs like $40, but it's so pretty, but I don't even know if I like it yet. But if I do like it, then I'd have to reread it to really, in my like mind, I don't really want a nice copy if I can't enjoy reading the nice copy. So if I think it's going to be really good, I might as well get the nice copy. But then if I get the more other ones in the series, it's not going to match. So it's a whole internal crisis. But hopefully I'll solve it and I'll read it this year. The next book is The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I do have that one right here. I was really excited for this book last year, and I really wanted to read it in the winter, and I just never got to it. It sounds like a really good thriller. It's about a woman whose mother's recently died, and she has no remaining family alive, and she's kind of going through it. And she gets a letter in the mail that says, "Oh, we're sorry to tell you your grandma passed away. If you could please come to the estate, we'll give you your part of the inheritance." And she's like, "This is not my grandma. My family is all dead." But then she goes, "Okay, I'll just go and try and claim this inheritance then." And she gets to this really spooky mansion, and that's all I know about it, but I know it gets really twisted from there. It sounds really good. I'm hoping to read this next month, I think. Hopefully, fingers crossed that I can actually hold myself to it. The next book is more of the whole series. I definitely want to get this whole series read this year. When you take into mind all the series that are on here that I want to read, it gets kind of unrealistic, but I'm the best at unrealistic reading goals for myself. And so that book is the Poppy War trilogy. This is supposed to be so, so good. I've already talked about this several times in my videos, I think, so I'm just going to briefly touch on it. It's an East Asian inspired fantasy. I'm sure a bunch of people have already heard about it by now, but what really intrigues me about this series is the author said if you watched Avatar but wanted it to be a little more dark and gory, this series is for you, and I'm so in on that. So I do already have the first book in the series. I'm hoping to kind of get the second and third and just kind of marathon that series. I've never marathoned a series before, but I think this one is a good one to start with. The next book is Middlegame by Seanan McGuire. This is supposed to be really good. It is a standalone, which at first I thought it was going to be a duology, but it's definitely just a standalone. It's really big though. It's about two children that were kind of raised to be gods that are able to end the world, I believe. I've heard that it's really, really good. I kind of want to save this one for the fall season 2 because I think it's kind of has some spooky vibes in it, but I definitely want to read it. The next book that I've put on is the Inheritance trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. These books come in like a really big, thick, like book that has all 3 of them, and I definitely want to get that copy, and it is supposed to be really good. I know it's about like there's 1,000 kingdoms and they're being united or something. I guess I don't know that much about this series at all, but it's supposed to be really good. I am right now reading another N.K. Jemisin book, the 5th season, which is part of the Broken Earth trilogy, which I started before the Inheritance trilogy because I can't stick to a plan. The next book I also want to save for the fall season. My fall season is already getting really booked, and I haven't even seen any of the spooky releases that are going to come out. It is The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. It is about a witch or I guess she's not a witch. It's about a girl whose mother was killed for being a witch, and the village kind of hates her for that, and because she's a woman of color. And she eventually starts getting called by the forest and kind of is I don't really know that much about it, but I know it has kind of like Salem witch trial vibes and setting, and it's supposed to be like spooky but not exactly horror, I think, and it sounds really good. The next book is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. This looks really good. I know it's the first book in a series. I don't know when the next one is coming out, but I know it has to do with bone shard magic, which sounds kind of morbid, and I'm totally in for it. The next on the list is The Final Empire, or the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. I really want to read. I am kind of conflicted because I really want to like space out my Brandon Sanderson reads, because I don't want to be done with them and then stuck waiting on his new releases, even though he's crazy about releasing new books like super, super fast. But it's like things that I really love, I kind of want to like space out and not finish too fast. Like if my favorite candle like burns really low, I will not burn it until it's gone and throw it away. I will keep it with a tiny bit in it and never throw it away. And I'm now I know I can see that I'm doing that with Brandon Sanderson series, but I'm going to try and start Mistborn, even if it's just to slow myself from reading the Stormlight archives, but we'll start it. I'll try not to put it off just because I'm going to like it so much, because that doesn't make any sense. The next book is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This book has such a pretty cover, and it looks so good. I know it's a fantasy inspired by pre-Columbian American folklore and myths, so kind of American indigenous peoples like gods are present in this, and that sounds super intriguing. That's all I know, and it sounds super, super good. So hopefully I'll get this read sometime this summer. We're getting towards the end. So the next book is The House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This cover is so gorgeous. It's a really big book, which is definitely my thing. I think it's like 800 pages. And people have said that this book is amazing. Even people that didn't like A Court of Thorns and Roses said that this book is incredible. So I'm definitely really excited to read that. And speaking of Sarah J. Maas, the next book / series that I really want to read this year is A Court of Thorns and Roses. I think that I would really like this. I haven't read a whole lot of romance, and so I'm really trying to get into the fantasy romance genre, and obviously this book is super, super, super popular, the whole series, and I want to get on the hype because I'm clearly quite a bit behind because the last book just came out. The next book is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This is like a murder mystery, but the protagonist in the story keeps living the day of the murder over and over, and if he can't, I believe he has like 8 days to figure out who actually murdered Evelyn Hardcastle before he's stuck in this loop forever. It is a really cool sounding twist on a murder mystery, and it just sounds like a lot of fun, and I wanted to read this so bad last year, and I never did, and I'm really mad at myself for it. The second to last book / series that I really want to read in 2021 is the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. So the first book is Assassin's Apprentice. I know that Robin Hobb is supposed to be amazing. Her high fantasy books are like have rave reviews from everyone. And so this is the first trilogy, and then the Farseer trilogy is first, and then there's a third trilogy that's not really related, but it's in the same world, so you'll have like cameos. And then I believe the Farseer trilogy characters continue in a third trilogy, and so it's kind of a really big world to jump into. It sounds amazing. I really want to. And these are pretty big books, so I don't honestly think realistically I'll be able to get through all of them this year, which is probably the first realistic expectation I've had in this video. But if I get the first one read, I'll be happy. The last book on my list is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. People also rave about this book. It's really, really popular. Some people really like it and some people don't like it that much, but I'm a very patient reader and very easy to please, so I think that I will like this book. I really want to give it a try. It is pretty thick, and I know the second one is already out, so if I could read those two this year, I'd be super satisfied with myself. I did leave one series off of this, even though it is definitely on books that I have to read this year, and it's the Cruel Prince series. I have not read any of those. I'm super, super behind, and I definitely want to get those read this year. But those are all of the books that I will be very, very upset with myself if I don't read this year. Hopefully, I'll get through them. More than likely, I don't even want to think about it because it makes me sad, but there's probably going to be a few that I won't get to. But hopefully, who knows, maybe I can exceed all of my expectations and just really stick to my TBR. But I'm a really big mood reader, so if I never get in a mood for it, it's probably not going to get picked up or even bought at all. So we'll see. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.